Hey everybody, welcome to the Pixelblips podcast. This is our last show of the year, and we are not taping it
on the right day.
If you haven't noticed, we're both wearing the same stuff we were wearing last week.
I mean, we're kind of lazy, but we're not that lazy.
Yeah, or smelly. It's very odoriferous in this room. Anyway, so this is our show wrapping up 2012, the best things in 2012. So I'm going to start out. The one thing I really loved about 2012 is both the new platforms that came out were groundbreaking and cool.
The Vita and the Wii U.
The Vita and the Wii U. And the platforms that didn't come out, namely the Xbox 362.
The next box. The next box and the PS4.
And the PS4 are not out yet. And we're not hearing anything about them except in hushed rumors. So the excitement is building.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just crazy ass accusations as to what these things are going to be able to do, right? Like, so
I mean, like here's a good example. The Sony could have come out and Dreamcasted the Wii U at E3. They could have come out and at the end of the show said,
"Oh yeah, here you go.
Here is a 5-minute sizzle trailer of what the PS4 is going to look like."
Yeah.
Just like back in 2000 they came out, or in 99 they came out and said, "Here's a 4-minute trailer of what the PS2 is going to look like," and that ate the Dreamcast's lunch in a big way.
But I love the Dreamcast. I love my Dreamcast.
I think if the Wii U ended up being the Dreamcast, it would be a success. So
I guess
the Dreamcast has legs no one thought it would ever have.
No, well, I mean, it's getting a new game next year.
Pierce the Lar, which is another thing that I'm happy about in 2012.
Yes.
Anyway, so the Vita is console quality on the go, which is something that we've always talked about we wanted. We always wanted to be able to take that console game at home on the go with us.
And we're not talking like the Nomad or the SNK version of that.
Yes.
Because the Nomad was the Genesis version with the 6-button controller, but it had 8 batteries like a boss.
Yes. So this is an actual portable console that sits snugly and it's somewhere in the PS3 pretty. Graphical area.
Yeah, and it's very, very pretty. And, you know, if you... I'm going to roll into mine now.
I want to do one more thing about the Wii U.
Okay, so go ahead. Do your Wii U.
Okay, so the thing I'm happy about the Wii U is the Wii U came out. We didn't think it was going to be, I don't want to say it's groundbreaking, but we didn't think it was going to be that genius when they first announced it. And it's new, and it's here, and it's good. Yeah, it's not horrible. I don't hold that in Target and immediately go, and
this is terrible, and run away.
It's not like the first time someone showed me a tablet running a Mega Man game. And they were like, you can play Mega Man on the go, like, with what? There's no buttons. Like,
there's no buttons here. Hey, but you can still do it. It's just not as reactive.
That comes back to why I like the Vita.
Yeah, has buttons.
Console gaming without compromise, on the go.
Has buttons.
Why I like the Wii U? It's new and it feels fresh, and that might just be because we've been sitting in this console generation for longer than we sat in any other console generation.
Yeah, because this has been what, like 7 or 8 years?
Yes,
something like that. So yeah, I mean, this has been a long console generation.
Been a while.
Yeah.
So the Wii U feels fresh, and I think that freshness makes me excited for it.
And the idea of having a smaller screen in your hand, basically holding a tablet in your hand while you're gaming, and you've still got all this, and you get secondary information on this screen is kind of an interesting idea. Yes. And I'd like to see what developers are going to do with that. Even if it's just, hey, here's a mini map, or here's your inventory management screen. Yes. It frees up screen space for stuff. Like, so I can totally see playing Final Fantasy on your big TV, and then your tablet is, okay, these are what you're going to do. This gives you all the information as far as this guy's going to go, then this guy, this guy, this guy.
So I like the freshness of the Wii U. I like the uncompromising quality of the Vita. It's console quality on the go.
It is pretty neat.
And I like the anticipation that we know PS4 is going to look
and the 360
amazing, and we're just waiting, bated breath.
Yeah, we don't have any official news anywhere.
To show my geek card, it is the long breath before the plunge.
Something like that, yes. Yeah.
So what did you?
So another thing. So along with you talking about the Vita, right? So Sony did a really awesome thing this year. They announced it was E3 this year. They announced the Instant Game Collection, right?
Yes. Now the PlayStation Plus had been around for 2 years.
It'd been around for a while, but they kind of revamped it, and they actually made it worth a lot of people's time. Not that it wasn't before, but now it's like, okay, you're paying $15.
Before it was worth it.
Now
it could not be ignored.
Yeah, it's like you may, if you have a PS3, you may as well pay these $50 a year and get your, probably what, 25-ish games they've cycled through since the beginning of the update of that process.
Maybe.
Because it was 10 free PS3 games, right, initially, and then they've been cycling through games every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
And now they've thrown in the Vita games, which is a big tipping point.
I mean, like right now, I think it says 18 free games.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 10
between both. So.
It's 10 PS3 games and then 6
Vita
games, and like a couple of PSP games, right? Something like that.
Maybe.
Something. You said 18.
There needs to be a press release.
Yeah, but either way, that was one of the big things that I really liked out of this year in gaming. Was, now I have more games on my PS3 that I didn't have before. It got me to play games that I wouldn't have normally played, like Space Marine. Not the greatest game ever. The story's kind of meh. But hey, it's Space Marine. Huh?
It's worth the 8 hours.
Yeah, roughly 10 to 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours. I wouldn't have played The Walking Dead had it not been for
That's true.
the PlayStation Plus stuff. I'm even more seriously considering buying a Vita once the memory cards drop in price a little bit, because 32 gigs for $100 is kind of out there, but it's a proprietary memory stick.
Congratulations, they're all expensive.
But, since now you've got at least 5 or 6 Vita games, as soon as you buy a Vita and you put in your information, boom.
They're there.
You can play those.
And I think it was really Sony, after doing this PlayStation Plus experiment for a while, Sony drew a line in the sand with Microsoft and with the burgeoning Apple game space and said, we are going to come at you and with literally all we've got.
Yeah.
And that you're going to take it.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. I don't have an Xbox Live account. I have an Xbox, but I don't have an Xbox Live Gold account because I'm not willing to pay $60 to play games online.
Yes. So
and to use Netflix and Hulu and
so Sony's response is we do everything they do for free, and if you want to pay us, free stuff.
Here's you're paying for all this stuff that we're going to give you,
but.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot less than you would be paying.
Yeah, and you're getting all these games.
It did a good job of shoring up one of the other things I'm happy about 2012 is in the latter half of the year, Sony did their day one digital.
Oh, yeah. So you could get like Assassin's Creed 3, buying it, you're still paying retail price, right?
It's basically like Steam preloading for a console.
Yeah.
And that plus the Instant Game Collection showed that Sony does not care. Sony is going to... If you want your games digitally, boom. If you want your games...
If you want a disc, here's your disc, here's your games.
Like, we will go for everybody.
Yeah, and that's a really good... that is something that I think Sony's done really well this last year, is they've embraced the digital distribution a lot more than Microsoft seems to have done.
With the purchase of Gaikai early in the year...
Gaikai, yeah, the online...
The cloud streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, if Sony came out next year and said PlayStation 4... did all this stuff for it, and he goes, and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Plus, you can now cloud stream your game, all of the Sony back catalog.
Oh man!
Like literally, it would be like, and I think
I would say all of it, but a good chunk of it.
Well, the Sony first party stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that they are giving to you on PlayStation Plus. I think Instant Game Collection Day One Digital showed that Sony realizes they are not just competing with Nintendo and Microsoft, but also with Steam and with iTunes.
Yeah.
And Sony is ready to, well, not ready in air quotes, is ready to, hopefully with the PlayStation 4, is ready to say, hey, we sucked last time. The PlayStation 3 launched too expensive.
We sucked it up the first couple of years of the PS3's life cycle.
And the PSN wasn't what it should have been for 3 or 4 years into the console's life cycle. Yeah. And you know what? This is step one, hopefully on the road to a better PlayStation network.
Yeah, and I've used my PS3 more in the past 6 months because of the changes that they've made to the PSN. Now I don't really like the redesign, but that's just me. I
did notice the other day.
It seems a little slower to load.
Yeah, it was slow to load for me the other day.
And then maybe that's just because they've got a lot more artwork and there's a lot more stuff going on. Either way. I still use it. Did you know Super Street Fighter 4 is on the store now? I did not know that.
Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition is the plus game for the month. So you should go get it.
Or at least reserve it if you've got a PlayStation Plus account and you just don't want to download a whole bunch of crap.
I think this was a good way of Sony showing Sony did a lot of stuff wrong this year. They stayed under the radar in a very big way.
Yeah, they didn't talk about the Vita at all, really, at E3.
Yeah. It wasn't until Gamescom we heard stuff about the Vita to get excited about it. The Vita's launch went well, but right after launch did not.
No, there was
I would say, because I bought a Vita at launch, I would say March, April, May, June, and July sucked.
A few, the launch window.
Yeah, the launch window.
Essentially of what.
And I expected that as someone who bought a game system at launch, and there were still games to play because the launch had enough titles. But
there just wasn't a lot of new stuff after that.
Yeah, and launching game consoles in the spring is not a good idea.
Well, no, I
think the 3DS and the Vita has now shown us this is probably not what you want to do. No. And the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, the Sega Saturn. I mean, and you know, they've tried to make amends with the Vita as far as like the cross-buy stuff. You buy it on your PS3, you can play it on your Vita.
Which has gotten me to buy games that I would not have bought before.
Like Smash Brothers or the Smash Brothers.
PlayStation All-Stars.
PlayStation All-Stars.
But that brings me back to another point. Sony didn't advertise PlayStation All-Stars hardly at all.
No, they only had like a few commercials here and there.
That is their game, air quotes, their game for this holiday. And I want to hope that Sony just decided to play everything close to the chest and under the radar because they're saving money.
Yeah, well, maybe.
They're building up a war chest to launch the PS4. If they're not,
let's hope.
This is all a mistake. If this is their A game when it comes to advertising.
Yeah, well, they're not. I think we'll probably see something, probably not at CES, but we'll definitely see something at E3 this year.
Yeah.
Well, and we freaking better see something about the new systems at E3 this year.
I would say
a lot of people are going to be disappointed.
CES and Game Developers Conference,
GDC,
are going to be both Sony and Microsoft dueling it out.
Well, who's
going to pull the gun first?
Yeah, it's literally going to be a standoff as to who's going to get up first from the table and say, this is what's coming out. This is what our plans are for the next 8 to 10 years.
Dev kits for the PlayStation 4 are out.
Yeah,
in developers' hands.
What we've heard of, yes.
And
what is
it?
And
hey guys, there's really great things coming out, but we're not going to tell you about it.
We know. Well, we don't know.
Like we said,
but
that anticipation was something I loved about it.
We speculate. You know that Final Fantasy tech demo we saw is running on next gen. What was that? It's not Sleeping Dogs. It was something else. Watch Dogs is speculated that it is running on next gen hardware.
Yes.
So I mean, there's already
games that look. And here's the thing:
games that look way better
could run on the PS3. Ish. Games that could definitely not run on the Xbox 360.
Or would look significantly worse. Like the disparity between Final Fantasy 13 on the PS3 and the 360 is super noticeable. Like the frame rate is not there. The texture quality isn't there.
So hopefully this time next year,
or they're just running on PC.
Hopefully this time next year, I'm playing my PlayStation 4.
I
would say
if they're going to launch it, they would launch it around Thanksgiving of next year.
I agree with people. If Microsoft and Sony launch at the same time, the race is on. If Sony launches later this time again, that is going to be a huge problem.
That is not something that I think they're going to do. I think, and some of the stuff I was looking at this morning, their plan is to get out before the next box. Yeah. Or whatever it's called. I mean, we don't even have official names for these systems yet.
The thing I heard for the next box is spring of 20.
Which we just said is probably not a great idea.
Probably not a good time to launch.
It's after Christmas. Everybody's paying off their bills. You don't want to be, here's a $400 or $300 system.
You lead straight into the summer. And the summer is a drive time for games anyway. And as the Vita showed me, and the PS3 showed me before it, after the first time I bought my PS3.
The first time?
When I first bought
When you first bought it, I was going to say.
When I first bought my PS3. That summer, that first summer, there's just nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. Nothing at all.
And it's hard because even it wasn't until these last 2 to 3 years where we got games that came out in the summer for the Xbox and the PS3 that were huge.
Yeah. But now it's kind of shifted to where August, like from August on is kind of a big deal, and then from like the middle part of October to the end of the year is like the biggest time for games to come out.
Yes.
I don't want to knock stuff off the table.
It's okay. So what else?
So another big thing. I'm a PC gamer, right? Like because I'm a nerd and I love my PC Gamer Master Race.
Gabe Newell is.
But because Steam and Valve have supposedly been working on the Steam box that may be coming out.
Which we also haven't heard about.
We haven't heard anything officially about. But they did release Big Picture Mode a couple of weeks ago, and I was playing around with it in the beta, and it is just, it's like playing a, you sit there with your Xbox or your PS3 controller and you play on your PC like a console, but the games look better. I'm a big proponent of, whatever's the most comfortable and whatever you can play the game with the best is what you should play it with. So I got Assassin's Creed 3 for free on my PC because I bought a video card or whatever. It runs exponentially better than it did on the PS3, but I still play it with a controller.
Yeah.
And that's just because I've played all these games with a controller before, and that's just how you play those games. Darksiders 2 is the same deal. You can play it with a keyboard and mouse, but it's not there. It just doesn't feel the same.
Well, and I think another thing with Steam's Big Picture Mode and the Steam Box is we're going to get back to the reason why people that don't play PC games is it's harder to get it running.
Well, it's not harder to get it running. It's harder to get it running the way you want it to.
Yeah, like you walk into a Best Buy and I go buy.
And you could drop $1,400.
I literally know. I literally know. Like, what title do I want? I want Darksiders 2. Well, what version do I want? Can it run well? I just go for the one that says PS3 on the top of it.
Because you know that with a closed ecosystem with the consoles is what makes them more successful than PC games. Because your PC could have what my laptop's got, or it could have,
what my wife's laptop's got, or it can have what my desktop has, and we'll run nothing.
Yeah, it could be a toaster, or it could be a beast. There's that wide range that developers have to take into account, and then there's minimum specs and so on and so forth. So with the rumored Steam Box,
or the Ouya,
even,
which brings me to the other thing I'm excited about for 2012, and we'll wrap the show up with
Kickstarters.
Yes.
But yeah, so with the release of Steam's Big Picture Mode, I think it kind of brings a little bit more validity to the rumors that Valve is working on a closed ecosystem PC, so a standard set of hardware that developers can use to make PC games. And if your system is better than that, then great, you can run it on ultra high settings. But I think what they're going to wind up doing is they're going to try to standardize at least this next generation of PC games to where you have your Steam Box settings, and then you've got ultra high and then ultra low settings, and I think that's going to do a lot for PC gaming. And I don't know.
It can only grow.
And it can only grow because it's already kind of small. But at one point, it was the end all be all of gaming.
Yes.
And at one point, the consoles were the end all.
Mid-90s.
Yeah, when Quake and Quake 2 were champions of the gaming world. But I think it'll be really good for PC gaming in general, and for people who don't want a keyboard and mouse in their front room, like the way that you send messages.
It's a way for the PC crowd to try and take back or get into the living room. Which is something we've always talked about with game consoles. Is Sony wants to rule the living room, Microsoft wants to rule the living room.
We were talking about the next gen consoles. Supposedly, like the next box is going to have HD DVR capabilities and stuff like that. Sony's is going to have similar stuff. I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
So the final thing I think
we're both excited
about. It's both excited about. 2012 was the year of crowdsourcing.
Yeah, Kickstarters.
Kickstart the crap out of their stuff.
Yeah, like the Ouya and
Tim Schafer's game, and for every success,
Tim Schafer's game.
For every success, there was literally thousands of failures. But it's shown that there is another way for the developers,
to get money that they require
directly to their audience.
Yeah, and they'll get a pretty good feedback from their guys saying,
do you not want this?
Yeah, does this sound like something fun? Cool, give us $5, give us $1,
There's been problems, but I feel that the successes have far outweighed the problems.
Well, yeah.
The good example, I love Pure Solar. I've always wanted to play it. I would not have been able to play without Kickstarter. I love Kickstarter.
Yeah, and you get a new Dreamcast game next year. Plus you get the soundtrack and all that other stuff, so that's cool.
So, and Double Fine hit a problem at the beginning of the year with funding a new game. They wouldn't have been able to fund it. Kickstarter.
Kickstarted it up.
Boom.
Perfect.
Sports Friends. Johann Sebastian Joust. Kickstarter.
Horkra and all those other games. Yeah.
So it's Kickstarter has done, and I feel any way that gets the audience closer to the artist in terms of making content is great. Because you don't have to have a publisher, which at the end of the day, publishers are companies, and they have investment portfolios and everything, and there's some dude chomping a cigar going,
is this going to make us $1 million or $1 billion in the next 5 years?
What if we put a escort mission in it? The kids love escort missions. So as long as we can get rid of, well, not get rid of them, but some projects just aren't going to work that way.
Well, yeah, and a lot of indie games need development like that because those guys are doing it out of their free time or whatever, and if they're getting paid to do it on, so they don't have to work a job to develop the game, then they can make a better game.
Yes.
So and I love Kickstarter's a pretty good deal. I've not helped Kickstart anything. I know, I'm sad,
You suck.
but I do like the idea of.
I've had 5 Kickstarters fail, and the first one I had succeed was Pure Solar.
Well, good. You didn't kickstart the Ouya?
No, I did not kickstart the Ouya. I still think
you still don't think it's going to do well.
Ouya is not for me. Ouya is maybe for my wife, but not for me. Anyway, have a happy 2013. We'll be back eventually.
Maybe.
Probably.
Yes.
Enjoy the happy holidays and keep on gaming. And please don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon.
Yes.